So my name is Anson Tagtag. I'm currently the Chief of the Wildlife Resources Division of the Biodiversity Management Bureau. The division which I'm handling is primarily tasked to oversee the national program of our country, of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, in terms of the conservation of wildlife resources. And this includes conservation of species which are at risk of extinction or what we call threatened species, and also the promotion of sustainable use of wildlife resources through the regulation of wildlife trade. Biodiversity is our life support system, actually encompasses all life forms on Earth, plants, animals, microorganisms. It includes the various ecosystems where these living organisms are found, and including the processes in the interactions that occurs within ecosystems. If we talk of biodiversity, uh, it refers to three levels. We have a diversity in terms of the ecosystems. We also find a diversity in terms of species. So in the global arena, there are around 50 million described living organisms at the moment. In the case of the Philippines, we have about 52,000, over 50,000 described living organisms. So this is how rich the biodiversity in terms of species we have in the Philippines, and diversity in terms of genetic resources, which are found in all the or deposited in the vast species that we have around us. Well, in the case of the Philippines and globally in general, biodiversity loss is driven by several factors. Yeah. One is overexploitation, ecosystem or habitat destruction, pollution as the main cause of uh, ecosystem and species decline. The impacts of climate change is also one. Impact of invasive alien species. In addition, also, this is one emerging threat to biodiversity, which is disease. Climate change or impact of climate change as one of the drivers of biodiversity loss, especially in terms of wildlife. Yeah, it's something that is critical, to look at. For instance, wildlife are very much adapted to certain environmental conditions, and actually their behavior, their biological clock and biological processes are very much in tune or in harmony with the timing of the seasons. When there is an abrupt changes in temperature or in seasonality, that would definitely affect the biological processes of plants and animals alike. Take, for example, the case of marine turtles. In terms of their reproduction, offspring of marine turtles is determined by temperature. When the temperature is normal, there is this natural balance. If the temperature is high, it tends to favor production of male offspring, and if it's too cold, it favors the production of female offspring. So there is this imbalance of male and female ratio. Biodiversity loss, a decline of wildlife definitely affects humans. For instance, wildlife being part of our forest ecosystems are drivers or agents of natural regeneration of forest through effective seed dispersal, through pollination. Another thing is wildlife in itself is a resource. No, our local communities, our indigenous peoples use them as part of their source of nutrition. For instance, our interest, therefore, is to um, not to lose wildlife resources, and that's why we promote the sustainable use of wildlife resources. One of the issues that we have now is the loss of our wildlife resources. There are about 2,000 species which are at risk of extinction, both plants and animals. This is because of the long history of habitat loss and overcollection in the past. Now, with the implementation of the Wildlife Protection and Conservation Act, or Republic Act 9147, we are now implementing prohibitions and regulating the use of wildlife resources. But then we need to implement more aggressive programs in terms of how to recover the population of our threatened species, such as our Philippine eagle, the Philippine cockatoo. Over collection or hunting is still of our wildlife. Unregulated collection of wildlife is still a problem that affects the survival of these threatened species. The current environmental problems that we are experiencing now is the reflection of of the status of our ecosystem in these recent days, in months. Well, in recent years now, we are experiencing frequent flooding um, in low-lying areas, and this can be attributed to the degradation of our forest and our wetland ecosystems, ponds, lakes, rivers. And the volume of water that they can contain is less than compared in the past because of sedimentation and pollution. Um, Lumiit na yung mga river systems natin, yung mga lakes natin lumiit din, kasama yung mga ponds, and even the marshes had been converted into agricultural lands. There are also volunteer programs. One approach for conservation is to support livelihood. From time to time, we also organize coastal cleanup activities, environmental enhancement activities like tree planting that are being organized from time to time by schools, even local governments, also barangay, in the DNR as well, and even private organizations. The conservation of biodiversity and wildlife resources, ensuring that we have healthy ecosystems, healthy environment to live in, is our responsibility. We all must take part in our small ways and helping to contribute.